So Tier 4 starts at wide receiver 24, Michael Pittman Jr. We've talked about him being a floor player a lot. I want to stop at 25 quickly, Matthew, because that's Rashee Rice. Is there a world where maybe he's close to breaking into that Tier 3 as it feels like we're getting far away from him being suspended this season?
If you knew for a fact Rashee Rice was not getting suspended, I prefer him over everyone else on this page. Give me him over DJ Moore. Give me him over Metcalf and Diggs. Like, Rashee Rice is that good on that offense with Patrick Mahomes. The knock on Rashee Rice, honestly, is just, he might get suspended. We don't know. Yes, they added Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown. Kelsey's still there, a lot of mouths to feed, but what we saw from Rashee Rice and the connection between him and Mahomes over the second half of last year and in the playoffs, like, I think, again, I'm speaking specifically from a football point of view here. I think Rashee Rice is a special football player. And so, and I honestly think Rashee Rice is kind of a value this year. I have no inside sources on this. I'm just trying to read the tea leaves. I don't think Rashee Rice gets suspended this year. The court date's not until December. And traditionally, again, I'm definitely not speaking for the NFL, but just if you look at sort of history, generally speaking, what we have seen the NFL do when there is a situation like this is they have basically let the court system play out, let the legal process play out. Every person's innocent until proven guilty. Rashee Rice is going to have his day in court. That process will play out. And then if and when there's a determination by the legal system in America, then there may be saying, okay, a jury has heard the evidence, this has been the decision, and based on this, then we can make a decision as to whether or not this player should be suspended. Again, that's not always the case, and I'm not speaking for anything other than just my own personal opinion, but I think back to the Kamara thing, where same thing, Kamara 2 years ago, people were nervous about drafting him because they're like, he's going to get suspended.
It tanked him at the time.
Right, and we were like, I don't think he's going to get suspended. I think this gets punted till no pun intended, till the next year, and that's what ended up happening. Alvin Kamara had a 3-game suspension last year in 2023, but he was a value in 2022 because so many people were concerned that the suspension was going to happen there. No guarantees, but I feel like Rashee Rice, if there is a suspension coming for him, I feel like it happens in 2025.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things too where we get so in the weeds and looking at the stats and what happened last season and ranking all these guys. Sometimes you just have to regress a little bit to less simplicity. And here are the simple things. So it's the same thing with Cooper Kupp. Like 2 of the past 3 years, Cooper Kupp has been wide receiver 1 on a points per game basis. And then last year he was hurt. And now this year he's going outside the top 20 wide receivers on ESPN. That just doesn't make any sense. Rashee Rice is the second best receiver that Patrick Mahomes has ever played with. And he's really, and his court date is like December 9th. And so he's really going to go outside, like he's going outside the top 30 wide receivers on Yahoo. So I just don't understand that. I think that there are worlds where Rashee Rice outperforms the likes of Puka Nacua and Nico Collins. Like that's within the realm of outcomes. Those guys are going like 20 receivers higher.
Rashee Rice being a top 15 fantasy wide receiver this year, top 12 is not insane at all. Like again, we like Xavier Worthy, we like Hollywood Brown. They'll take some deep shots there, but in terms of who's on the field every snap, Rashee Rice is going to play almost every snap.
Yep. Tier 4 continues with Tank Dell at 26, T. Higgins at 27, Zay Flowers at 28, Christian Kirk at 29, Terry McLaurin at 30 here, Matthew, who, gets to play with Jayden Daniels, who looked great this summer.
Yeah,
Cliff Kingsbury's offense. Could this be maybe a career year for Scary Terry?
I think it could. And look, again, no Jahan Dotson. I've said this before. At some point this season, Luke McCaffrey's going to be a thing, but I don't know if it's going to be immediately. And so, there's a scenario where in this pass first offense that Terry McLaurin has a north of 30% target share as well. Here's the other thing that, I know a lot of people want to have fun with Cliff Kingsbury, and it's been pointed out in the preseason how he's played 28 snaps and 27 of them McLaurin's lined up in the exact same spot, and they're like, here we go.
It was outside wide receiver. Everybody wants to see the slot usage.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? He did the same thing with DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona, and in 2020, DeAndre Hopkins was wide receiver 5 under Cliff Kingsbury on a points per game basis. 2022, he was wide receiver 9. 2021, he was wide receiver 19. So 3 straight years, DeAndre Hopkins was a top 20 fantasy wide receiver. 2 of the 3 years under Kingsbury, he was a top 10 fantasy wide receiver. Any one of those finishes would be the best finish of Terry McLaurin's career from a fantasy points per game. I get it. The route chart is whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's a lack of creativity from Cliff Kingsbury, or maybe he's just like, you know what? He's the only guy I got. Why am I gonna give away the goods here in the preseason? Like, I'm just trying to get Jayden Daniels comfortable in the offense. Just run the same vanilla routes, you know what I mean? And I'm not worried about it. We'll get it. Interesting. Terry McLaurin, I think, is Connor, you tell me what you think here. To me, he is one of the best route runners in the NFL. He's, and thinking about what Jayden Daniels does well, I think even if he's lined up outside every single snap of his career this year, you know what I mean? Like, he'll run enough different routes that they will find him. I think the talent of Jayden Daniels, the talent of Terry McLaurin, and the massive target share make up for any coaching potential deficiencies. And I'm not even convinced that it's going to be a coaching deficiency.
Because he's such a good route runner, we forget that he's really fast. It's one of those weird things. Like, nobody thinks of Terry McLaurin as this true 4-3 guy, but he is. And Jayden Daniels wants to throw the ball down the field. We saw it on his first drive against the Jets. He checked out of a play and pushed the ball down the field. So that's going to help him as well in this offense.
Yeah. I just don't trust Cliff. I just don't trust the whole Cliff experience. I don't believe he's become a new man in Kotau or wherever he went to.
But okay, but isn't that a NFL argument and not a fantasy argument? Well, again, obviously DeAndre Hopkins is a different kind of wide receiver than Terry McLaurin. But my point is that was a highly visible, getting a lot of defensive attention wide receiver able to produce fantasy points under Cliff Kingsbury for multiple years? And the answer is yes. And oh, by the way, Hopkins almost never went into the slot under Cliff either. I mean, he was just outside.
Yeah, I think Cliff might have seen God a little bit towards the end where he did start moving Hopkins around more in the final years in Arizona. But I do think there is a bit of a marriage between the fantasy and NFL aspect where if you're buying into Terry McLaurin, if you're buying into this offense, you think this offense is going to be better than expected and getting into scoring position more than expected. And I mean, we're just with Cliff Kingsbury, like Patrick Mahomes played on the Cliff Kingsbury and then fell to 10 in the draft. Arizona did not go well. USC got worse. I don't understand why he keeps getting these roles, but we'll see. He's got talent to go with.
But listen, first off, he's very handsome.
Well, maybe that's why he keeps getting these roles. He's very charismatic.
He's probably very charming. I don't know. Listen. Just give me this. It's the preseason.
I hope for the best.
Just like it'll be October, and you can dump on me in all October when they're 0-5. But
not before Labor Day.
Right now,
That's the rule.
just give me this, Jay Croucher. Okay. Some of us stick with a team and just don't just don't bounce around to whatever WNBA jersey my daughter was wearing at any one point. I will say this: I think I am at wide receiver 28. It's the price tag on Terry McLaurin is just not high at all, and the upside is potential. Again, hasn't missed a game since 2020. 120 targets for 4 straight years, at least 75 receptions, at least 1,000 yards, 4 straight years, and now playing with, by far, the best quarterback of his career. Other than, obviously future Hall of Famer Sam Howell, but even future Hall of Famer and multiple Super Bowl winner Jayden Daniels, even an upgrade there. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched. Or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.